Okay, so I want to start with a question that's, well, it's kind of mind-bending. What if the universe isn't just this thing we happen to live in, but something we're actively helping to create? We're about to dive into this pretty wild idea, a mystery that connects the strangest corners of physics with the deepest potential of our own minds. Let's get right into it. It really sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? But this is the question at the very heart of what we're talking about today. Does the simple act of paying attention, of just looking at something, actually change the fabric of reality itself? As you're about to see, the answer is way stranger and honestly more profound than you might even imagine. So, our investigation kicks off in the truly bizarre world of quantum physics. See, down at the smallest, most fundamental level of reality, scientists stumbled upon a clue so strange it completely flipped our understanding of how the universe is supposed to work. And that brings us to this wild concept called superposition. What it means is that before you measure it, a tiny particle isn't in any single place. Nope. It's more like a shimmering cloud of pure potential, all possibilities existing at the exact same time. But the moment something looks at it, that whole wave of potential just snaps into a single definite state. This means observation isn't passive, it's literally an act of creation. And the proof of this is the classic double-slit experiment. It's amazing. When no one is looking, particles like electrons act like waves, spreading out and passing through both slits at once. But, and this is the crazy part, the moment you set up a little detector to see which slit they go through, they instantly switch their behavior. They act like tiny, solid marbles, picking one slit or the other. The only thing that changed was the act of watching. The legendary physicist John Archibald Wheeler, he took this idea and just ran with it. He argued that this isn't some weird fluke that only happens in a lab. He said it's a fundamental principle of reality. He called it a participatory universe, basically suggesting that our consciousness isn't some separate thing looking at the world, but is actually woven into the very process of bringing it into existence. Okay, so for our next clue, we're going to pivot from the quantum world of the very small to the inner world of the human mind, because this is where a really surprising collaboration started to build a bridge between these two seemingly separate realms. So on one side, you have Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, a total pioneer of quantum mechanics. And on the other, you have Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology. I mean, what an unlikely pair, right? But they were both completely fascinated by these uncanny, strange connections that seem to happen between our inner thoughts and the events in the outer world. And Jung came up with the word for this, synchronicity. You know these moments. They feel like more than just a coincidence. It's when you're thinking about a friend you haven't talked to in years and your phone buzzes and it's them. Or you're wrestling with a problem and the answer just seems to pop up on a random billboard you drive by. It's a connection based on meaning, not on cause and effect. So what this really points to is a completely different way the universe might be working. We're all used to causality, right? One domino hits the next, which hits the next. It's a predictable chain. But what Jung and Pauli were suggesting is that there's another principle operating right alongside it, one that links our inner world of thoughts and feelings with the outer world of events in these meaningful, totally unpredictable ways. All right, this leads us to our third clue. And this one is a truly radical idea that challenges something we all take for granted, the very nature of memory itself. I mean, we tend to think of our brains as these biological hard drives, right? Just storing all our experiences and everything we know. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if the brain is less of a storage device and more like a receiver, an antenna tuning into a field of information that exists all around us? This is the fascinating and, yes, pretty controversial theory from biologist Rupert Sheldrake. He suggested that there's a kind of collective memory embedded in nature, a memory built up from the experiences of every single living thing that has ever existed before. He calls this morphic resonance. The idea is that these invisible, information-filled fields carry the habits of the past. So the more a behavior gets repeated by anything, anywhere, the stronger its habit becomes in the field. This makes it easier for future systems, whether it's a crystal forming a certain shape or an animal learning a new skill, to tap into that same pattern.
So think about it like this. If Sheldrake is onto something, our brains might not be storing every single memory. They could be more like antennas, tuning into these vast collective fields of information. It could be an explanation for things like instinct, intuition, or even those weird moments when people on opposite sides of the world have the exact same idea at the exact same time.
So we have our three clues, right? One from physics, one from psychology, and one from biology. Now, this is the fun part. Let's bring them all together and see the absolutely revolutionary picture they start to create. Okay, let's just walk through the logic here. Quantum physics shows us that our very observation changes the physical world. Then, Young and Pauli's work on synchronicity suggests our inner world is meaningfully linked to outer events. And then, Sheldrake's morphic fields propose there's this non-local, collective memory that shapes the present. What do all three of these things point to? A participatory reality. And when you put it all together, the implication is just staggering. It means consciousness isn't just some accidental side effect of brain chemistry. It's a fundamental, active player in the whole game. Our awareness, our attention, they aren't just passively reacting to the world. They're part of the very process that brings the world into being. And this is where it all stops being an abstract theory and gets incredibly personal. Because if we are truly participants and not just spectators, then this isn't just some cool idea to think about. It's a user's manual for reality, and it has profound implications for how we can actually create change in our own lives. So this is the key question, isn't it? If our observation, our attention, helps to actualize one potential reality over all the others, how can we consciously direct that power? How do we become more intentional observers of our own lives and our own futures? And you know what? This isn't just theory. These very same quantum ideas are being used right now in therapy. They give us a framework for seeing ourselves not as fixed or broken or stuck, but as a field of pure possibility. Therapy, from this perspective, is about learning how to observe and choose the possibilities that will serve us best. So here's how that works in practice. Superposition means you aren't just your problem, you are also your potential solution at the exact same time. The observer effect means that where you focus your attention, whether it's on your strengths or your weaknesses, helps determine which reality solidifies. It's a massive shift from trying to fix what's broken to consciously actualizing a potential that is already there. And get this isn't just wishful thinking. There is hard science that backs this up. Neuroscience actually shows us that when you vividly imagine an experience, your brain lights up in almost the exact same way as if you were really living it. Your brain, on a neural level, doesn't really know the difference. And this is exactly why practices like hypnotic rehearsal can be so incredibly powerful. They let you step into a state where you can consciously observe a future you desire. By rehearsing a new way of being, you are actively firing and wiring new circuits in your brain, making that potential future more and more probable. You are literally using your participatory consciousness to rewrite your own story. So we end up right back where we started, but now with a totally new sense of power. The clues from physics, from psychology, from biology, they all point to the same incredible conclusion. Your attention is one of the most powerful creative forces in the entire universe. It is the tool with which you participate in reality. So the only question left is, what will you create with it?